So I'm going to have you begin by telling me what is your name and like where do you live, what's your job, all that stuff.
Okay, so I'm Shamin Kanita, and I'm based in Bangalore. Been here for a decade now, and I am a writer. So I run a content and digital firm in Bangalore, a small startup, and I have been pretty much working remotely for a long time now with my team online, and that's how it's been. So otherwise I'm a doctor by profession, a homeopathic doctor.
Oh,
So
homeopathy. Oh, that's awesome.
yes,
Okay, can
yes.
you talk about what does the COVID-19 pandemic look like in India? How has it been in terms of rules and regulations, and how is it impacting everyday life for people from what you've observed and experienced?
Okay, so for me it's been very surreal, mainly because I went into self isolation in March 10th. Yeah, 8th or 10th. And by that time there were just probably a few handful of cases in Kerala and in India, and the seriousness hadn't set in. So given the fact that, okay, with the panic all across the world, and being a doctor and knowing how it was, or at least getting a sense of the seriousness of it, I went into isolation. But people were still going around doing their own thing till the time the government, that is the prime minister, actually stepped in and had it all shut down. And he made his address on the 22nd 23rd of March, and that's when the seriousness set in for people on the ground. But for a lot of us who have been in medicine, in healthcare, we kind of knew where it was heading, and we were prepared quite a few days in advance, at least 2 weeks in advance. So yeah.
So the people who aren't like you, who aren't in a medical field, what are the concerns that you have for the population at large? People who maybe weren't as prepared as you were.
So I still feel that the information, the education of these people, it's not trickling down to everyone. I mean, the seriousness and the fact that there has to be a certain way that we maintain hygiene, we ensure that it doesn't spread. It's not trickling to people, say, who are daily wagers, who contractual labor. They still aren't aware of the seriousness of it. So I think we who are educated, who are a little privileged, are taking precautions, are being careful. But at the same time, when you go to that section of society, no, it's not happening there at all. So yeah, it's I get a sense that the mask they use, the gloves, it's all being done because they've been told to do it, not from a sense of, okay, I know what's happening, and this will keep me safe. So I get that sense of the disparity, that chasm in understanding
So are we talking
between.
about, in a way, are we talking about class access, and the people who might be lower, so socioeconomic class might not be taking as many precautions or might not have as much access?
Yes, because I mean, they are getting their. So we who are educated, we can discuss it. We understand the nuances of it, of why we do what we do. But for them, they don't get into that kind of discussion. So it's a very blanket thing of, okay, do this, and that's why they follow instructions. It doesn't go. I don't personally think it goes into much detail when it comes to personal hygiene and all of that. Yeah, so probably yes, class does matter.
So
Yeah.
what are some of the messages that you're hearing from Prime Minister Modi right now, and what are some of the concerns that you're hearing as you maybe tap into local media in India?
So I just I mean, from a layman's perspective, I just feel that I just wish that probably he could be more verbal, he could be a more explicit in what he conveys to the masses, because in all his addresses it's kept to a minimum. And I know where he's coming from, partly because again, he is speaking to a demographic which is not on social media and discussing, and he's speaking to a people who will only say listen to instructions. I get that bit, but again, to just reassure everybody at large of okay, where we stand, what is being done, probably I'm expecting a little more from him there. So yes, that happens. But again, at a state level, at a local level, we are seeing people reaching out. There is a very active, information shared, um, access to healthcare, whom to contact. So the state where I'm in, Karnataka, I mean, they are sending out regular information. There's a lot of people outreach happening here. So that's again a little difference in the way information is coming from the government at the center versus the government statewide. So states are keeping in touch, and but that comes at a little later date. So of course it's natural that the prime minister first addresses us and then it goes to the states, but still there is that gap in in a few days or hours of understanding, and that's where the little bit of chaos is trickling in. So that's what I see.
Okay, and then also we've been watching in international media kind of the tension that has been in India
Mm.
under Modi's policies,
Mm.
some of which people have felt have been Islamophobic. And I wondered if there's any ways in which the political situation has gotten more tense, maybe under the COVID-19 pandemic, or what's kind of the flavor of all of that from where you are in India, from your vantage point?
So I don't know whether you're going to quote me on it, because it is sensitive to talk about things like this. But uh, I mean, I'm just seeing a little of everything becoming communal, and I don't. It doesn't make sense when there are larger things at stake, bigger things happening for it to happen. But it still does. There is still that yours versus mine, or and it's not just one community being targeted, or they also retaliating. Because I'm targeted, I am then blaming someone else on a different community. So that back and forth is going on, and that's taking away a lot of this seriousness of the main issue. So yeah, it's been a very, for me personally, a very disturbing you know what is the situation, because that shouldn't be our focus at all at the moment. But it keeps popping up through different ways, either before this or even now through all of this. Yeah, the blame, I mean, I don't think anyone can be blamed. There could be so many focus points of spread, and everybody's affected, everybody's in it. But yes, I
So
also.
have there been misconceptions about particular groups being at fault for this? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm just saying that yeah, there has been misconceptions, because yes, there was a particular group which over the last few days has tested positive. A big number have tested positive from that group. So there has been back and forth on the blame, which I don't know. I mean, I'm only going by news reports, which are saying that it's valid to be, to have that blame, or there are others saying that, why is this whole thing made communal? So I really don't know what's the ground reality. But yeah, when
Sorry,
this happens,
just to clarify, so in the news, which group had a high case, and what have been the things that have been happening according to what you've seen on the news?
okay, so if you have, I mean, in the last couple of days, there was this congregation of Muslims in Delhi, and of them, there are quite a number of cases who have tested positive, and that too after they've left that location and gone to other cities in India. So that has become quite the topic of contention, on what exactly happened, why they have come up with this positive. But from the way I see it, there have also been cases come from people who traveled abroad and come back. So, I mean, if you see that way, then everybody is responsible for bringing it in, and spreading it around. But yes, in the last couple of days, this has become quite tensed, this particular incident. So I don't know the actual, what has happened, why it's being blown up, how are they being blamed, are they genuine, or are they, is it on, I mean, I really don't know. I cannot
Okay.
comment. So
No problem. And then how are they enforcing, what does the COVID-19 like lockdown look like? For example, here in California, we can only go to
mm.
the store or the doctor after lots of screening. What does the COVID-19 lockdown look like in India?
Okay, I'll tell you something. So in India, we are so used to crowds, and I mean, I'm so used to just I don't know, anywhere you go, everywhere you turn, there are just people, and I have seen over the past few days stepping out for groceries. It's just been empty roads, empty streets. A lot of it has had to be enforced because people were not taking it seriously, so the police have stepped in to ensure it's strictly followed and all of that. But yeah, so there are fever clinics, there are to pick up the initial, what do you say, symptoms, and then the people, in case of any positive cases, they are filtered to another main there is a government medical hospital. So of late, even private hospitals are being approved to take such patients. So all of that is in place. I mean, of course the testing is not as much because they're just doing it based on certain specifications, not for everyone. But overall, we have been told what to expect, what are the symptoms, at which point of time you come in, so all of that is in place.
Okay, and one thing we talk about in the United States when we talk about India is that social distancing, in a way, it's a privilege, and it's a privilege that not everybody in India gets to enjoy, especially the
Yes.
people who might not. They might live in they might
Yeah.
live on the streets, or they might live in very humble circumstances. So
Yeah.
in that way, what are your worries about the poor people in the way that they're able to care for themselves or really stay in place and still meet their needs of eating and this kind of thing when they're living kind of hand to mouth?
No, so that's my thing. So there is this whole bunch of us who are maintaining social distancing and having, living in our own. I'm sorry for sounding very, but living in our own bubbles. And then there is this other set of people who, by virtue of being, economically poor and unable to manage that resource, are put together. So invariably they are going to pick up this sickness, and invariably it's going to be out there, come to us, all of that. So I really don't know. I mean, they are taking precautions, but at the same time, when it's the question of hunger versus the disease, hunger is more, it is important to assuage as compared to the disease. So I think for them that matters, that they won't be able to survive without food. They can survive with corona, but they cannot survive without food. So a lot of organizations are like lay people, like I'm a part of this group called Caremongers, which is we are doing a lot of these runs, delivering medicines and trying to gather food or make arrangements for food for people and all of that. So we are doing what we can, but they are forced together to live, to move around, all of that bit. So yeah, that's
And
the.
what is the government doing to care for people who might be in a lower socioeconomic class?
So the government has put out, measures in terms of, delivering a monthly ration and amounts and all of that thing. So a lot of people are covered for sure in this, from the poor to widows to all of that. But there are always these little pockets of groups who slip through the cracks. For example, transgenders are not getting adequate. Monetary or the compensation, so where again lay people are stepping into. So I've seen a lot of people just opening up their purses and hearts and just giving money. I personally have collected money in an hour. We collected quite an amount to pay up somebody's rent and 2 months, groceries. So I'm just, the government is doing its bit, but it's not enough. I mean, it's still citizens stepping up to do it.
So finally, what else needs to happen in your view to protect as many people as possible? And also what hope do you have after what hope do you see on the other side
After
of this?
this. I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't imagine seeing myself or all of us in the situation. And I just hope, one thing what's happened is that, I don't know in India or if it's there everywhere, I still don't get that seriousness of the, that of the problem. Probably we're not in the thick of it. So, uh, it hasn't percolated to us that we are in something big and we have to be careful. So that is one thing. And I just think that, there right now we are in a 3-week quarantine, and probably people might think, okay, it's done, and just get out there. It is possible. I'm just worried of that, to be honest, as a concern, because I will personally not, a few of us won't be going out till May end, but there are people who will just walk out, thinking, okay, it's done, it's over. So I'm just hoping the government extends this entire thing. And I know for sure businesses, a lot of startups and are already down completely. So I really don't know. We'll have to pick it up from scratch, I just feel.
And what's giving you hope to make it through?
Ah, I don't know. I want to get it and go through it. I cannot live in this vacuum of waiting for it to reach me. I mean, I don't want it to come to me. I'm okay with getting it and getting through it. For me, that's the worst thing of, yeah, probably being in this whole situation. But yeah, I just hope, if it has to come, I just feel it will come. I know it will come. I mean, we can be quarantined for months together, but at some point of time we are going to be there in that, as a sufferer. So might as well, yeah, at some point get on with it and move on. So that's the way I'm thinking of it. I don't know if it makes sense, but yeah.
Okay, anything else you want to add?
Nothing much. It's just a lot of things going on in the head. I just hope, I don't know. We're just, as humans, we're so used to having some conclusion at the end of things. I mean, I know how much I'm programmed to it, like, okay, at the end of it, we finish this project, I get paid, I move on, or I finish this work in 3 years, I take up another job. So that end, I cannot see in this. For some reason, I cannot see that closure in this. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a little bit
That's
scary, right?
that's very worrying. Yes. Yeah. I'm sure for all of us. Yeah.
Okay, well, take
So,
care and be safe, and thank you for taking time to talk to me. I
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks for calling too.
Okay,
Take
good
care.
night.
Good night. Bye bye.